Hi, it's Dr. Armstrong at Whole Care. I wanted to take a moment to talk about inflammation. Most all of us have some degree of inflammation, and inflammation is actually the biggest driver of chronic disease in the civilized world. Most of the things that plague us, most of the things that actually bring people to my office have inflammation at the core. So it's really important to learn how to eat properly because the biochemistry that we establish through our dietary patterns can either be one that is like putting gasoline on a fire all the time, or one that actually tends to promote anti-inflammatory responses from the body, which promote healing and certainly much more ease and less dysfunction. So what do you need to do with the diet? Biggest thing, first of all, no sugar. Got to get all of the refined sugars out of the diet. And to do that, it's important to become a good label reader. Learning how to read labels and find sugar and the different names that it's hidden there as is an important thing. And learning to read labels properly. When you look at the label on a food item, the part that you want to look at is the ingredient list, not the so-called nutrition label that is required by the government on many foods, but the actual list of the ingredients, the actual food in your food. That's where you'll find most of the time the things that you need to find about the food choice you're making to determine whether or not you really want to eat that or not. So sugar has to come out of the diet, and the next thing that also causes a lot of inflammation and pain are grains, in particular glutinous grains like wheat, but all grains. So the grains have to go, and that really has an impact. Many of us are addicted to grains, particularly breads. So the sandwiches have to go, the crackers have to go, but also the cereals have to go. So many things that we might think, oh, that's good for me because that's whole grain, are actually gasoline on the fire, causing our body to continue to be inflamed. We can't really combat that by throwing anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen and other remedies at it to think we're going to get anywhere when we're continually throwing gasoline on. So particularly the grains need to go and the sugar needs to go. One of the big reasons the grains need to go is because they're all rich in omega-6 fatty acids. And you may know this already, but omega-3 fatty acids are the ones that actually reduce inflammation. That's why most of us know that we should be taking fish oil or something like that, maybe perhaps flax oil, but some omega-3 source so that we can reduce the inflammation in our body, help our hearts be more healthy, support our immune systems. There's so many things that the omega-3s do for us. So the problem with the grains is that they're very, very rich in omega-6s, and it causes the balance between 3s and 6s to be skewed toward the hot, highly inflammatory omega-6 oils. So I would suggest that you supplement your diet with fish oil. I use at Whole Care tuna omega oil. And you could, if you're a vegetarian, use a vegetarian source, but the utilization rate is much higher for the fish oil sourced omega-3s as opposed to the flax oil. I would also suggest you consider taking a look at your omega-3 versus omega-6 status, which you can do with a very simple blood test. It's called an omega quant test, which we can do at Whole Care. And that'll tell us the actual ratio between your omega-3s and your omega-6s, as well as the level of trans fats in your system, which you may know are the ones that are known to be carcinogenic and signs of disease progression in an unhealthy body. So these things can be checked. I would also suggest in the realm of dietary supplementation, besides taking omega-3s, to use some turmeric. It is a strong anti-inflammatory. Curcumin is the active component in that. I use turmeric forte from MediHerb, which is very, very highly absorbable because of the addition of fenugreek herb to it, which boosts the absorbability by a dramatic amount. So I would always suggest those two things, and perhaps adding some boswellia in there as well, which is another anti-inflammatory herb. The biggest thing, though, is correcting the diet, because again, you're either eating in a way that's putting fuel on the hot inflammatory process of your body, or you're cooling it down with the proper type of eating. So the best way to get an anti-inflammatory eating plan, in my opinion, is just to Google paleo diet. And there you'll find all types of ideas for recipes and things that you can choose to eat, because a paleo diet is inherently an anti-inflammatory diet. You're eliminating grains automatically with it. You're also going to eliminate dairy, and for a lot of people, dairy is an inflammatory component. Almost everybody with allergies does much better to not be touching dairy, just as a side note. So I hope this is something to get you started, and I honestly can predict that if you don't do it now, you will be doing this at some point in time, trying to take charge of the inflammation in your body. You'll feel so much better. It's so much easier to lose weight. It's so much easier to heal almost any disorder if the inflammation can be reduced. So remember that energy follows thought and matter follows energy. So put the ideas in mind as to how it is you want to eat to reduce the inflammation, and then follow through. The body will take care of itself from there. Thank you.